It is the first day of free agency, even though the deals can't be officially signed for a little bit, day or two. They can be agreed upon. They can be locked and loaded. Panthers are having an interesting day. Started with the most money given to or most money per year given to a defensive back in the history of the NFL. Jaycee Horn, 4-year, $100 million extension, $70 million guaranteed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your building block. Derrick Brown up front, Jaycee Horn in the secondary. That's where you build your defense. That's what the Panthers are going for. That's who they're betting on. Now they both have to level up. Now they have to be all pros, right? You get that kind of money that they've each been given. And Derrick Brown, bummer, he was hurt this year. You got to find a way to be tops of the tops. Other than Jaycee Horn, here's what the Panthers are doing. They're spending money, first of all. Give them credit. They're out there. They're active. They're making moves. They're not doing it on premium positions, though, which I'm fascinating to see where this comes back. Right? Premium positions, quarterback, they're not going to do that. I'm not worried about it. But offensive tackle, edge rusher, and corner are kind of where you look at. Interior defensive lineman is where you look at as far as premium positions, right? The places where you want your money spent most. They almost had Milton Williams. I don't even know how we describe that. Milton Williams, interior defensive lineman from Philly, on less than 50% of the snaps pretty much during his Philly career. He's been wildly efficient, and he was one of the jewels of this free agency class. There was kind of the insiders jumping the gun, maybe, saying that he was on his way to the Panthers. Turns out, over $100 million from the Patriots swooped him away. So that was almost a premium position signing. I was already having images of Milton Williams and Derrick Brown next to each other.
Yes.
A'Shawn Robinson rotating in and going, I think they're going to hold teams to 12 rushing yards per game.
Yeah, I think everyone was hoping that.
And then it just didn't happen. And then
Nope.
shortly after kind of the switch, and actually, you got all the insiders. Actually, this isn't quite done. Other teams are calling. Actually, Panthers might not be able to. Actually, he's going to the Patriots for $104 million. Once that happened, shortly after, Trevon Moehrig, safety, goes to the Panthers, 3-year deal, $51 million with a max of $60 million. Basically, incentives and things can get it higher. He's a really good safety. Don't get me wrong. It was actually funny. I was doing my research before the show on this guy. Drafted to the Raiders during COVID. I watched them calling him to say, "Hey, you're the pick." Mm-hmm. They had the masks on as they were making the call. It was Mike Mayock making the call for the Raiders and passing it to John Gruden. So that was where he was drafted into. And since then, he's gotten better every year. Kind of a slow start, but he's gotten better every year. I really like him, with the one caveat being he's a safety. Right, and safeties are traditionally not where you want to spend a bunch of your money. They brought back Austin Corbett on a 1-year deal. Their center, which kind of brings back their entire offensive line, who was really good last year.
I don't hate that.
I don't either. It's just another move. Center, not a premium position. They brought back Tommy Tremble on a 2-year deal, about $8 million per year if he plays the length of it. 2-year. What is it, $10.5 million? Is that what I'm looking at?
Yeah, I think that's the total base. But I think again with incentives, it might get up to 16. So yeah, roughly around that. Again,
we like Tommy Tremble. Seems like a good dude. Seems to fit in. Tight ends do tend to struggle to, new team, freshly drafted. It usually takes a year or two for them to get comfortable and play well. So maybe they're paying this money to not have to kind of break in a new tight end. But that's a lot of money for a guy whose career high is 234 yards in a season. And it's not a premium position. So I'm looking around and I'm just waiting for how they plan to solve the biggest holes on their roster. Not saying it's bad, because if they check off the 3 things I'm about to say in a solid way, then I love all of these signings. I think they make a lot of sense. It's just maybe a little reverse of priority order. I still think they need edge rusher help by a bunch. Maybe the draft solves that. I still think they need interior defensive line help. I would like one, like Milton would have kind of been perfect. I just want one solid guy to throw in a rotation with Derrick Brown and A'Shawn Robinson. And I still think they need a number 1 wide receiver. If they solve those three and they can get creative, trade, they can get creative, draft, they can do some things, then I'm going to look at it and go, and they got Morig? Oh, and they were able to bring back Corbett to solidify the offensive line? Let's go. But that is kind of contingent upon these other things that quite frankly are usually more difficult to fill being filled, right? Like I look at number one wide receiver. Could their offense be okay if they're led by Adam Thielen at 35 years old, followed up by project / raw mold the build of clay in Xavier Legette, and then next up Jalen Coker, undrafted free agent a year ago? I don't love that as a wide receiver core. You throw a number one wide receiver on top, I'm much more excited about it. You look around the NFL. DK Metcalf traded to the Steelers. Bengals appear to be letting players go so they can afford to break the bank for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, which means T. Higgins not moving. Chris Godwin goes back to the Bucs, and somehow the Bucs got him to reportedly take $20 million less than the Patriots were offering. So Bucs doing something right to make their guys want to stick around. Devontae Adams to the Rams, Hollywood Brown to the Chiefs, Deebo Samuel traded to the Commanders, Christian Kirk traded to the Texans. I don't see where the Panthers get a wide receiver one unless they love somebody in the draft. And I would be surprised if they go back-to-back years with first-round wide receivers. So it's like, see what I'm saying? If they can solve wide receiver one, I love the signings they made today. And by the way, second, like I'm siphoning off Jaycee Horn. That's a deal that just had to happen. If you like him, if you drafted him and you think he's going to stay healthy, that's its own build. That's its own section, and I say that's solid. Everything else to me, in order for me to be excited about it, is contingent upon, I mean, how many edge rushers do you think they need?
7.
How many do you think they have now?
1.
All right. You know what's the sad part about that?
What's that?
You're not that far off.
No.
One legit dude to really scare quarterbacks, and then 2 or 3 depth pieces, depending on how you feel about guys that are already on the roster. Like that's going on at edge. Again, an interior build from the trenches, interior defensive lineman would be nice. And then a wide receiver one. You do that, I'm on board. You don't, I'm going to feel a little unsatisfied.
They still need another corner to go opposite of Jaycee Horn. Still something that they need to do. Whether
Agreed.
that's a second tier free agent that they might maybe try and sign.
Another premium position. Everybody's always out for corners, right? I use this example all the time. 3-point shooters, left-handed relievers, edge rushers, and corners, right? Like everybody is always interested in those positions.
The interior defensive line, they tried to sign Milton Williams, like you said, but he got $26 million a year over 4 years with New England. I'm like, that's a rich price, especially when his teammate Josh Sweat signed for less than $20 a year as an edge rusher with the Arizona Cardinals. So again, it's just. Well, some teams just have more to spend. It's just an unfortunate reality of it. But here's a funny little nugget for you here when it comes to safeties in the Carolina Panthers.
I like funny little nuggets.
Trayvon Mooring, who they signed away from Vegas. Yep. Guess who just signed with Vegas as to be a safety? 2-year, $16 million deal. Jeremy Chin.
Ah, that's funny.
Full circle moment, right?
It's a retread world, right? And we're just passing cups around the what's the like do where you're flipping the 3 cups. And there's like a ball in one of them.
Show game?
Yeah, a little whatever it's called, 3-card Monty.
Game.
It's show game. Yeah, exactly. I thought you were saying show game. Show game. Yeah, it's a little bit of that, right? You're just moving safeties around. Xavier Woods will end up in Washington.
Right.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. So basically, I say all that to say this. The grade for the Panthers, incomplete. Still need to see more. Not done yet.